Welcome to Talkin Bengals, your home for innovative insights into all things Bengals. Follow Talkin Bengals on Facebook and Instagram at Talkin Bengals or listen on your preferred podcast app. Now, let's start talking.
Hello and welcome to Talking Bengals. It's been an exciting week to be a Bengals fan. Big statement game on Sunday against the 49ers. Joined as always by Hoopty Hoop. How we doing?
Who Dey, baby.
Say it again louder for everybody in the back.
Who Dey, baby.
Yeah, that was a great game. Absolutely awesome. I mean, there was a few things that could have been worked on, but overall, just a fantastic overall team performance. Looked great. Joe Burrow is back. Let me say it one more time. Joe Burrow is back. Offensive player of the week for the AFC. Just fantastic performance. And we got to get into that. I mean, we got to just jump straight in, both feet. Talk to me about Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow. What do you have to say about him, man? He was on fire. What was it, like an 88% passer rating? I mean, you have a completion percentage that good. Joe Burrow's on fire. Obviously, his calf is 100%. He's scrambling. You know, he made those few runs to get the first downs when we needed them. He's getting away from the sacks. He's able to escape the pocket. You know, he looks like what Joe Burrow should be looking like mid-season. Super exciting. Oh my gosh. You know, you get the offensive line to be able to block like that again, especially against the Bills. That's going to be the statement game of the year. Show them who we are. Let's go, Joe Burrow.
No, exactly. I mean, that very first drive on 3rd and 10, looked like he was sacked 3 different times, gets out of it, makes a great throw, gets nailed. I mean, that's the thing, too. It's not like he just got to walk away. He got crushed right after he threw that ball. Team made a great catch. So it seems like the bye week did everybody some good. You know, they're looking like the Bengals of old here, what we've expected the last couple of years.
Hey, Casey, I just want to ask you something. What was my prediction last week?
It's a lot better off than my prediction.
What was that, Casey? What did I say last week? I think it's recorded. I think we can look back on that.
You know, we'll have to check the archives. Drop the challenge flag there. I mean, I need some crow. They ended up playing much better than I thought they would. So maybe my cautious optimism is back now. So I mean, I think
I'm more than cautiously optimistic, man. I'm more than cautiously optimistic. I am just straight optimistic. I mean, God bless Joe Mixon. He had a good day. T. Higgins had a great day. Jamar Chase had a great day. About the only position on the field that didn't really have a great day was tight end.
Well, we'll get into that. Let's not go there yet. We'll get into that here in a little bit. But yeah, so we're looking at all the offensive positivity here, which is absolutely, they all played great, looked wonderful, but the defense was almost just as impressive, if not more impressive.
Oh yeah. I mean, Logan Wilson didn't get his interception. You know, it's just, my man didn't get his interception this past Sunday, but you know,
he did get his interception. Are you getting Alzheimer's? He did get an interception.
The ball was in his hands and he dropped it. I'm thinking about a different play, Casey. I was very disappointed because it's a catch he usually makes, and I'm thinking about a completely different play, and that it trumps all the other memories of the game for defense. It's just right in his hands, and he drops it. My man doesn't do that. Anyways, but yeah, I mean, you're looking at Cam Taylor-Britt came off the field limping a little bit. I think he's probably going to be fine. He seems to be a hustler and, you know, a real man's man out there on the football field. I mean, defensively, I mean, geez, Louise, I mean, they brought in, Casey, who is the young guy they brought in for Cam Taylor-Britt when he came off the field?
Now you say it, and now it just dropped on my head. The 2nd-round pick this year.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, Turner, there we go. Yeah.
Turner. They brought Turner in, and geez, old Pete's, man. He didn't do bad either. I mean, you look at the depth that the Bengals have on defense now. You look at the depth that the Bengals have on offense, except for a couple positions like we've talked about before, and we'll get into a little bit later. But you look at the depth. the wide receiver depth, the line depth. I mean, we got guys who can play and people who are ready to step up and fill those shoes. Super excited. Super excited for prime time Sunday night with the Bills. We'll get into it a little bit here in a little bit. But yeah, super excited, Casey.
Yeah, DJ Turner, forgive us. We didn't forget about you. We're old at this point, so we're having momentary lapses in memory. But DJ Turner's awesome. The secondary looked great. But, I mean, yeah, Logan Wilson, man, you must just be losing your memory because he had a fantastic interception when he shook off Brock Purdy. But the best interception of the day was by far Jermaine Pratt. They're going in there to score. He one hand grabs it, takes it. How he didn't run that back to the house, you can tell he's a bigger guy because he just couldn't keep his balance. Up, we're being told one. One is the loneliest number. Burns is trying to jump on here. He'll figure it out. So we're
Our
in the
social
middle here,
media
so he can
expert.
jump in. He can jump into the next question, I guess, once he figures out his audio. But for right now, we can enjoy his Charlie Chaplin mustache. Maybe he'll do some silent acting. But yeah, that was just super athletic play. But how in the world he didn't run that back because nobody was around him. He just fell out of bounds. Shows that he's a linebacker and not a defensive back. Oh, goodness. Like I said, we're getting all kinds of fun stuff now. It looks like he's got some kind of static fireworks going on, so that's fun. Anyways, if you're not watching live, you're missing out. If you're only listening to the audio version, you are missing a riot. Go over to our YouTube page at Talking Bengals, and you can see what we're talking about here because it's pretty hysterical. But jumping into it, just a great game. And something I want to talk about that, most people probably didn't think about or comprehending that it was really that big of a deal is Evan McPherson. So, he missed that field goal early, and then he was able to bounce back. He just doesn't sweat it. That's something I'm so impressed with him. You miss a field goal, and he's just like, shakes it off, comes right back out the very next time, and does a fantastic job. That's not something you see from every kicker. He has, unshakable confidence. It's incredible. He reminds me more of, a great baseball player. Someone up there to hit where you're going to fail sometimes. You just don't worry about it. Just shake it off, step back up, and you're good to go. So
You can't leave me out on this one. You can't leave me out on this one. Money Mac,
we're going to move on to the next one.
No. Who was it? Was it Tony Romo? I can't remember who the other guy was who was announcing. But whoever it was, they were like, well, McPherson's been so-and-so from this distance past 50 yards. And it's like, what? You just had to say it.
Say that?
You had to say it's like talking about a no-no in baseball.
Mm-hmm.
What's almost on a no-no? You just don't do it. But anyways, yeah, I mean, Money Mac, unshakable confidence. I love it. And a kicker, that's what you want. And you look back at Denver when they had Jason Elam, heck of a kicker. Janikowski, great kicker. For some reason, I can't think of his name from the Colts. Great kicker. I mean, you just look at these great kickers. Sometimes you miss. It happens.
Yeah,
it's human error. But goodness gracious, man! Looking at Money Mac hitting that long field goal really set a good tone for what we're really looking for out of a good kicker. I think we have a solid kicker for the rest of his career. I'm super excited about that. Burns, you want to try to jump in here with your Pelfrey jersey on?
I'm pretty sure I said that the game was going to rely on Mac Dime's leg, right? I'm pretty sure that's what I said at the end of the last bye week. It did. And then we also got the consistency from the offense on all aspects except for one. We'll talk about that later, I'm sure.
Yep.
A lot of banter on the side of this on this show about the one and only Irv Smith Jr. and what's his future look like.
Well, we'll get to him in just a moment, but let's hit the trade deadline. None of us were really surprised that the Bengals sat on their hands and didn't get anything accomplished. Hopefully they prove us, they don't need to trade. They don't need no stinking trades. They can win with what they got. I think they can, but it's also disappointing.
That seems to be the mantra of this city.
Seems to work really well. But yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed. That's the one thing they need to do now to show that they've moved into the modern era of football. but it is what it is. So
I mean, hey, looking into not hitting that trade deadline. I will say that for the morale of the team, it is a huge booster to show confidence in the guys that you recruited, guys that you brought in to try to make this team better. I'm going to kind of jump in with Zach Taylor and in ownership here, and not really going after anybody in free agency and wasting millions of dollars mid-season. I'll kind of jump on that bandwagon a little bit, to be honest with you, because I think that it's a good idea to show that faith in the guys that you recruited to bring in. You brought these guys in, you thought that they had the talent, or else you wouldn't have asked them to work out with you or even, signed them to any kind of a contract. So I think that shows a lot, and I think that brings in a lot of morale boost. I know Casey, Zach, I know we know what morale can do to a team when it's not very high, and when you have a high morale and you get a booster on top of that. I think Irv Smith coming in is going to be, I think it's going to be a game changer if he comes out and just makes a statement. He comes out, makes a catch, and just runs somebody over Hayden Hurst style. I think that's going to make a statement. Bernsey.
And here we are in the Irv Smith talk.
Oh yeah, we're not getting away from it. It's been coming at us the whole time. We're gonna do it. Let's just get it out of the way.
We're gonna dive into this right this second. That's fine.
Oh,
we
yeah.
can do that.
Oh,
All right.
yeah.
Look, I'm not bringing any facts. I'm not bringing any stats. I'm not doing any of that. Right. But let's just
That's
look
how
at
I
the
do it,
season as a
Bernsey. We
whole.
know that.
Right. Absolutely. He fumbled one play, right? And it was the world of difference in that moment. But the defense came up, they stopped him, and we went to halftime. And no harm, no foul at that point. And then we didn't see him the rest of the game, right? That was pretty much how that played out. If you look at his body of work the rest of the season, or from the beginning of the season prior to this past game, hey, look, I don't know what to do with my hands, okay? All right? We usually don't do it this way, but it is what it is. If you look at what his body of work is, if you look at his body of work from the first 6 games, right? He specifically just wasn't being utilized, whether that was because of we were playing out of the shotgun the entire time. You heard it on the broadcast on Sunday all day long. Point number 2, he's been hurt. He's been battling injuries and things like that in and out of the lineup. I know I have him in a couple fantasy leagues. So you got to give him some benefit of the doubt, right? We were trying to get him involved in the offense and get him going. And you know what? Yep, he fumbled. It cost us a turnover, but luckily we escaped the fate, right? Body of work of what he did when he was in Minnesota was very productive when healthy. Okay, that was part of the reason why we brought him in. I think you give him some more reps, you give him some more time. Joe Burrow is going to find a way to get that man looking just like Hayden Hurst looked last season. Because look what Hayden Hurst is not doing right now in Carolina. Okay, we were talking in the side chats. Hey, he's got another Heisman Trophy quarterback, and he's not, and they're not producing.
It's not Joe Burrow though.
That's apples to oranges.
I'm not apples to oranges, 100,000%. Joe Burrow is in a completely different league than Bryce Young, and vice versa. Bryce Young down here, even though I'm here in good old T-Town, he's not in the level of Joe Burrow.
That is sacrilege where you're at, Bernsey. Sacrilege.
100%.
Do not let
100%.
Tuscaloosa know that you're saying this.
Well, when Zach's not on the episode next week, we'll know why. The Roll Tide got him.
We'll find out on Saturday, since Bama's playing LSU and I've got to work it. So,
well, I think that the writing's on the wall. I like your thinking there. Maybe give him more chances. I don't think he's getting them. Tanner Hudson got elevated to the active roster, and Burrow does not like Irv Smith Jr. now. I guarantee this was one that, okay, we've had some time to work with it. We've practiced with it. he's not done crap. He's dropped passes. He had one really good play last Sunday where, he caught it and tried to run somebody over. It didn't work very well trying to run him over either. It was kind of embarrassing. He got stuck and just sat right down. But I just don't, you can't fumble in that situation. Where the game was there, luckily it panned out, but that could have turned on a dime. You can't fumble. 2 hands on the ball. That's really basic. You're not Jamar Chase. We don't expect you to make those kind of moves. Just hold the ball. You were stopped. Go down. Live to see another play. And nobody even thought twice about it. Just wasn't a great play call. Didn't pan out. Hand the ball to Mixon. Throw the ball to Chaser Higgins. Not a big deal. But when you fumble, when that's the only thing people remember is that you dropped the ball and now you fumbled in what could have been a very critical moment. And Burrow remembers that. So it's not just the fans hating on him. Yes, we said cut him at halftime. The funny thing is, after that, I looked at how many actual reputable writers said similar things. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's really coming from everybody. It's not just, the Talkin Bengals guys. I don't think they have any faith in him. Zach Taylor had nothing good to say about him. When they asked about him, he kind of was very evasive and kept walking around and trying not to say anything negative, but he also didn't say anything positive. So to me, that speaks volumes. If you can't say something good about the player, you're basically saying something bad. It just is what it is.
No, I agree with you 100%. It is what it is. But like I said, you give the guy some more opportunities. It's his first time in the offense. This is the first time Joe Burrow's been healthy. This is really the first game that he's been fully healthy. So I'm not ready to write the ship off like I told you guys before. Let's give him some time. Let's get him some reps and see what happens. Sure, everybody's starting to write him off with it internally, at least for outside looking in, but we don't know what's going on behind closed doors. We don't know what's going on when the cameras are off. You guys and I both know what happens in front of cameras and what happens behind closed doors is 2 different things. We've been in a locker room together. We know what's said behind those locker room doors. We were on 2 different teams that got recorded 24/7, right? I have both DVDs in my wall locker in the other room. Yeah. You guys know there are things that make it and there's things that don't make it, right?
Oh, yeah.
And there's reasons for that.
Nick, you got any thoughts on this?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the confidence level in Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow he's a game player. He's out there to make the plays that are going to win the game. And when you're down on the goal line, you're in the red zone, you can't afford to fumble the ball. That's rule number 1. Don't fumble the ball. Do not give the other team the ball. Whatever you do, protect it at all costs. And Irv Smith, or not Irv Smith.
You're right.
What's his name? Okay, Irv Smith. He knows. He's played in the league. I'm sorry. We're throwing names out here left and right. I've had a long day. Give me a break. Like I said, I don't care about stats.
Or names, apparently.
I just want Coach Boone to show up to practice on Monday.
But
break the John Hine parts off and go run a mile.
Yeah, I mean, it's the confidence, like what Casey was saying with Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow definitely has a lot to say about it. If Joe Burrow didn't have enough to say about it, I think that Irv's in there. I think Irv's playing. It's just, if your quarterback loses confidence and the guy to catch the ball and then hold on to it after he catches it, it says a lot. And it definitely shows on the field, especially when the guy's not even on the field afterwards.
Yeah, but I don't think it's looking good for Irv Smith. I mean, maybe he'll get one more try at it. Maybe he can, surprise us all and he makes some critical plays. But you know who he reminds me a lot of right now? Jermaine Gresham. Just a guy who, highly touted. You think he can make a difference. And every time he looks like he's going to make a difference, something happens because Gresham had that same problem. He'd fumble out of nowhere, or he'd drop a pass, or something else, miss a block. He always seemed to be on the cusp of getting it all together, and then something would just unravel it.
I mean, I used to root for Jermaine Gresham to really come out of it, to really put everything together. I know exactly what you're talking about. It was so disheartening because I really liked him as a tight end. I thought he was a really good blocking tight end, and then he'd miss that one key block that would just send the Bengals into bungles again.
Yeah, but that's bringing up bad memories. So we're gonna avoid Jermaine Gresham at this point. I mean, that still hurts my soul to even think about it.
Let
So
me
we'll
look
move
for
into
my brown
happier
hat again.
we'll move into happier thoughts and memories here with our Who Dey History lesson of the week. So for those of you listening who are younger than us, you probably don't even understand the era we're talking about. That's probably why we didn't get a whole lot of comments with memories on here. But the Who Dey History we're going into this week is the Shake and Blake era. If you don't know what I'm talking about, read the article on our website. But if you were a kid in the
Watch the
1990s,
highlights.
if you were a
Watch the
kid in the
highlights.
1990s after the Boomer era and had to suffer through Klingler, Jeff Blake was like the coming of the Messiah. He could do everything. He could do no wrong. 1995 is really the year that I remember becoming a Bengals fan. I was always a fan because my family was a fan, but me actually remembering Bengals games and being excited every Sunday to watch the Bengals started in 1995. And it was because of the Shake and Blake and dropping the bombs. They used to play the song at the old Riverfront Stadium, Synergy Field, whatever you remember it being named as. But you dropped the bomb on me. And they just show him throwing bombs to Darnay Scott and Carl Pickens, making everybody else look silly. And that was just will get you pumped up. And I mean, the 95 season, 7-9 could have been better, but not bad. The next year they went 8-8, which was the best record they had after Boomer's Bengals in the 90s. And then 97, Jeff Blake started to fall off. So it was a very short era because Boomer came back to finish out the last bit of 97. But for 95 and 96, especially that 7 of 8 win streak the second half of the year in 96, Jeff Blake was the man. He was just, to the Cincinnati Bengals fans, he could do no wrong. And I remember those old VHS tapes. I'm sorry, I know I'm on my little soapbox here telling my
You
old man
dated
story.
yourself a little bit there, Casey.
Yeah, but the old VHS tapes where they used to have the Bengals like seasons, you could buy them. My dad bought me that one because I was so excited for it. And it's like, and next year will be a bright future on the 30th anniversary of the Bengals. Well, it wasn't. They still sucked. But the 96 season and the 95 season are what got my fanhood really going. And then I was depressed for a decade. So welcome to being Bengals fans.
Just a
I'll let somebody
decade?
else talk.
Just a decade? Dude, I loved the Shake and Blakes. I remember, Casey, we did the Pickens play.
Oh, yeah.
Growing up. That was our play. We'd just be like, Pickens! And we knew exactly what we were talking about. Playing backyard football, that was our thing. Jeff Blake to Carl Pickens. That was the play in the corner of the end zone.
Yep.
And
deep fade to the corner.
Yeah. Just two guys that were just phenomenal athletes. I think Jeff Blake, his only downside was his height. I think that was the only thing that hurt him was his height. If he was like another 2 inches taller, I think that everybody would be talking about Jeff Blake.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even know what happened to him after he left the Bengals.
He went to the Saints for a couple years. Then I think he went somewhere else as a backup.
Yeah, I thought he was head over heels better than John Kitna ever was. And John Kitna played for several teams, and he was actually on the field for some reason. But yeah, Jeff Blake.
John Kitna hate here. Goodness.
John Kitna was probably a really nice guy, but as a football player.
Real quick, I have to defend John Kitna before Bernsey jumps on here. We got John Kitna right after Scott Mitchell, Gus Frerotte, and Achilles Smith. So comparatively, he was a really good quarterback.
Comparatively, theory of relativity here.
He got a 7-9 season. So there you go.
He also blew the first playoff game that we came to after the freaking Super Bowl. So
why? Why are you making me sad? Stop.
But anyways, yeah, the Shake and Blake era was the era like that I really remember. Being excited every Sunday like you were. he brought a lot of people on. Jeff Blake brought a lot of people to really love watching the Bengals. That's what I remember.
Bernsey,
Bernsey?
what you got?
I'm getting some feedback in my ear, so I apologize if that's actually me, and you guys are getting it too. So I'm looking it up, right? So he came in the league in '92. He played 3 games with the Jets. '94 through '99 was with the Who Dey. 2000, 2001, he was with New Orleans. Then he went to Baltimore for a season, Arizona, Philly, and rounded out at Chicago at the age of 35. His only Pro Bowl year was 1995. Now, I'm the younger of the 3 on this call. I started watching football in probably '94, even though I knew who the Bengals were and the Bengals were on TV because it was local, whatever the case may be. My fandom really started with the Cowboys only because of Deion Sanders. And Deion Sanders is the reason I got into football and baseball and all that other stuff. We don't talk about the Cowboys anymore because Jerry Jones is he's a moron. Flat out moron. Doesn't know what he's doing, anything like that. But then again, people said that about Mike Brown for a long, long time and Katie Blackburn. But here we are. We're making good financial decisions. We're making good progress. But back to Jeff Blake, right? In that '96 season, it says he had 5 game-winning drives, which was the most of his entire career. So that's what really kind of helped us get to that 8-8 piece. That same year, he threw 3,600 yards, 24 touchdowns, and only 14 interceptions. Like you guys said, he was fun. He was entertaining. '99 was, when I got this bad boy, so I was really dialed into the Bengals there in the late '90s. It was a very trying time. It was, gouge your eyes out at bad at some points. But I completely agree with you guys. He was just fun and entertaining. It was nice to watch him play quarterback right before Achilles Smith, along with all the other ones that you already mentioned, Casey.
Just a bad string of quarterbacks. And we got Boomer for half a season in '97, so that was nice. But the only other members I'm going to share are Jeff Blake here. So I had the Shakin' Blake shirt, which was like him standing like Godzilla over top of Synergy Field. And then I remember, and I couldn't find the poster. I have it somewhere. But he went to Crestview Town Center to Lazarus before it was Dillard's. I'm really dating myself now. Before it was Dillard's, it was Lazarus.
No, Lazarus was Macy's.
Macy's. Oh, that was Lazarus then.
Yeah, it was
Macy's
McAlpin's, Casey.
Yeah,
Sorry,
McAlpin's.
whatever.
McAlpin's was Dillard's.
How old are we at this point? We're talking about things that haven't existed in like 30 years.
Now we sound
Anyway,
like
Hey,
our
I'm gonna
fathers.
buy you guys. We're gonna buy each other matching walkers for next week, okay?
Gotta get the tennis balls. The tennis balls help it scoot better.
But had to go there. Stood in line fucking
file for
hour to
AARP.
get Jeff Blake's autograph. I still have the poster somewhere. And I mean, he was just like, I couldn't believe how much smaller he was than I thought he was. I thought he was gonna be like, a tall guy. He wasn't that much bigger than me, and I was only like, what, 6, 7 at the time, not very old at all. It's kind of like, man, you're not very big. That's not good. So that's probably what didn't help his career out, like Nick mentioned. But it was a fun time. It gave you something to root for as a Bengals fan because David Klingler was trash. No offense to David Klingler. I know our social media guru has told me to stop calling people trash. So my apologies, David Klingler. Do whatever you got to do to be with the Pygmies in New Guinea, as Larry the Cable Guy would say. Again, dating myself.
Oh, my God.
Anyway, all right, let's just move on before I say how old I really am. All right, week 9 preview. I'm going to stop talking because I just need to go find my, medicine.
I'm gonna take over, Casey. I'm just gonna go ahead and take over.
Here.
Go ahead, Zach.
What am I doing?
Week 9 preview. Maybe you need your Alzheimer's medicine.
Here,
Nick, we're going to you to start us off.
I'll go ahead and I'll start us off.
I say Nick was saying he was going to start us off.
Yeah, Casey can't hear. That's all it is. And so
Turn him up, baby.
What What we're looking at in offensive side is Joe Burrow and the offense to stay high powered like they were, keeping that balance, the balance between the running game and the passing game to really open up both is key. And really keeping the defense on their heels and not understanding and not able to guess what the play call is going to be. Being able to keep those weapons open, looking at T. Higgins, Chase, Jamar Chase, maybe getting our tight end, whoever it may be, Zach. But
True sample.
Who knows? Whoever the tight end's going to be, getting them involved. Trenton Irwin, Boyd. Love Boyd. I think he's a great slot receiver. But anyways, so I mean, you're looking at several different options for Burrow, people that he knows to be able to throw to, and that they know he knows they can catch, and make some plays, and then really working in Joe Mixon into the mix to be able to work him straight up the field. I know I've said this time and time again throughout the years that Joe Mixon's been here. He is a north and south runner. He needs to hit the hole as fast as he can and go. Yes, he did bounce it out to the left side to be able to get that touchdown. That was a great one-off. Joe Mixon does not do that often. He does really well up the field. He does really well just throwing that shoulder into people and driving those legs. The guy is a workhorse. He's a beast. I love Joe Mixon. I don't care what you guys say. He is somebody that I would trust to run the ball. Defensively speaking, I think that we need to look into continuing to mix up the fronts. Lou Anarumo is a genius on the defensive side. I know a lot of people have talked about him going into head coaching status. I think that'd be a waste of his talent, to be quite honest with you. I think that him being a defensive guru and being successful at what he's doing now, I think that him living out that passion is probably something that would be best for him, in my opinion. But I'm not Lou, so I'm not making his decisions. But yeah, I mean, looking at the defense, Wilson keeping him in the middle of the field with those spies. Casey, yes, I do remember that interception that Logan Wilson made. He looked the other way, and then he turned back and caught the ball. Yes, I do understand, and I do remember that play. But the cornerbacks being able to really handle the receivers and cover those routes, I think that's going to be key, especially with Allen, the way he's able to hit his targets, really being able to cover those deep threats. I think that's going to be a big hit, making sure there's no deep threats.
Yep. I think, man, you just took the entire preview. I don't even know what we're going to say at this point. Zach, you have any comments?
Well, I'm just going to repeat what I said last week. Consistency on offense, right? Continue to do the work. Continue to get the reps in. Joe is looking as healthy as ever. Continue to spread the ball around. Give everybody an opportunity. And the offense is going to be just fine. Joe Burrow is going to Joe Burrow. Chase is always going to be open, right? That's how it's going to go. I am a little stitious. This is a primetime game in the regular season with the Bills. So not trying to put bad juju out, but I am things, So let's just go play.
Now you start talking about stitches. Now you're cutting out. The football guys do not like what you're saying. I mean, I would say the defensive key here is just stop Josh Allen. Let him make his own mistakes. Let him get in his head. Let him try to win the game, and let him fall on it. I mean, I really think our social media guy could put out a really funny thing, one of those memes, like Josh Allen, Woody Allen, Marcus Allen, who cares, Bengals by 14. I think that'd be a good one. I think that'd be a funny one to see.
Have you been following my volunteers? Is that what you've been doing? You've been following my volunteers. That's what you've been doing.
No, unfortunately, college football is not my thing. But I think that, they got it. As long as the offense is consistent, like y'all have mentioned, defense lets Allen beat himself. Don't try to, don't let him make the great plays. Let him make the dumb plays. And when he starts making dumb plays, just let him continue to do it. That's what worked in the playoffs last year. Just let it continue this year, and I think we'll be good. So we'll get into score predictions here. So I'll go first this time. So score prediction for this game, I'm going to be going 24-10 Bengals.
Ooh, Casey. That's not your cautious optimism there, Bubba. That's not that cautious optimism I'm hearing. That's the optimism. I love
It
it.
is. I'm in double digits.
I love
Bengals
it.
by 14. That's what the meme's going to say. So
I think that Bengals are going to take it 34-17, or I'm sorry, 31-17, by that 14 that you're talking about. And I think that the Bengals are going to get up quick, and then it's going to be a defensive match from there. I think that the Bills are going to make that adjustment at half, and I think it's going to be rough go in the second half. It's not going to be pretty much action, but we also have Lou. Lou's going to make his adjustments too, and Josh Allen's not going to be able to do what Josh Allen does. And I think it's going to be on part of our defense making those adjustments. Bernsey.
Good. Still fine.
no, you're still pretty clicky. So we're just going to guess what Burns is going to say here, and let's see if we can get it right here. So I'm going to say Burns is going with a 21-16 Bengals win.
No, I am not.
Now we can hear you.
All right. Hey, you can hear me? We're good? All right,
Yep.
sweet. So I was looking up the football database of all-time history. The Bills lead it by 1 game. So I believe we bring it to 500 this week. And I'm going to go a crazy 27-10 because that's what happened in January. So let's run it back. Let's actually get it done, and let's go win this dang thing.
I like it. All right, so closing thoughts, gentlemen. We'll go right to the person who's just talking.
Yeah, go Bernsey.
Got there. What's on your shirt?
You're killing me,
We all
Smalls.
said we played with
That's been me all day. I have been Smalls throughout this entire thing. But thanks for
You
bearing
showing
with us.
Smalls?
Why do you think I'm wearing it?
I like it.
Come on,
No, I
social
started an
media.
hour late. It's not a big deal.
I promise. I promise I'll take care of the recording issues on my end for the next week or the next time I'm on. I appreciate you guys. I love you both. Who Dey.
I'm just happy that we're seeing that optimism out of Casey nowadays. I love it. I love that optimistic look, that positive outlook on the season and on these games. I mean, I'm seeing the old Casey come out. I'm liking it. I'm liking it. I don't know. I think Papa might have came in and might have smacked you around a little bit while you're sleeping. I don't know.
Next thing you know,
cool.
Casey's going to start growing hair again, like Dion.
Let's not get too wild.
Well, you guys are lucky this is a G-rated podcast. Like I can't say or show what I'd like to. Or PG, I guess. We'll say PG podcast. We're allowed a little bit of things here. But I should have known better than to tell you guys the name of this episode is going to be the Bay City Rollers, because now we've said something that's really old and we've acted like we're all ancient this entire episode. Maybe we need to do something young and hip, whatever those kids are into nowadays, for the next episode title. But yeah, it was fun. We're very geriatric 30-somethings. So hey, we're a lot older than we act like we are. You know, it's not the age, it's the mileage. It's not even the mileage, it's the lack of maintenance. So there you go. We may only be in our 30s, but our bodies think we're damn near 60. But as far as the Bengals go, I think it's going to be the season a lot more optimistic now looking at it. I think there's actually some hope. They're a legitimate Super Bowl contender if they can play like they did last week. We appreciate everybody's support. We also now have a Patreon. If you want to get out there and check us out on Patreon, we're going to get some exclusive content. We got a cool partnership coming up here soon with an overall podcast network, so be on the lookout for that. It's going to be exciting stuff coming there. Going to have a further outreach for audiences. And then you always check us out on Facebook, Twitter, which we don't really use. So go to Instagram instead, because Twitter is just a cesspool of evil. So stay away from there unless you just want to read mean things. But if that's your thing, do it. And YouTube, this episode will be live on you or up on YouTube, so you can see us and how we act. And as Zach has put up there, it's time to just say Who Dey.
Who Dey, baby.
Thank you all for listening.
Thank you for listening to Talkin Bengals. Be sure to like and subscribe to Talkin Bengals on Facebook and Instagram at Talkin Bengals. You can also listen to Talkin Bengals on your preferred podcast provider. See you next time. Who Dey?